Hi, Jake Northey from Creative Minds. We're starting a video series for software product teams. We've had a lot of videos in the past that focused on different aspects of software development. Today, we're starting a series which focuses on everything that software product teams, and this includes engineering, UX, PM, everybody who works on the product together, what they need to do to effectively and quickly deliver the product that customers want. So when we think about product customers want, there's two things that I think are most important when building a software product from scratch. Number one is determining the path to value. What is the key interaction that your customers are going to do to get value out of the software product? That's number one. We're actually going to talk about it in a later video. The second piece is what not to build. We're going to talk about that today. And when I say what not to build, it's easy for software product teams to discover things that user want. When you get that feedback loop, we talked about that earlier, when you get the customers giving you feedback, there's going to be a lot of options to build something that somebody wants. And there's nothing that product teams like better than building something somebody wants. If somebody says they want something, a product team builds it, and then that user ends up using it and giving good feedback. That's what engineering software teams love the most. So when we're building a new product, you can easily fall in the trap of just building whatever somebody asks for. So when we're looking at what not to build, there's a handful of things that we really should not be building. One is adjacent problems. And so what I mean by adjacent problems is when we set out to build this product, there must have been one core problem we were looking to solve. And we want to stay laser focused on that problem until we have customers using the solution for that problem, right? When we start getting customer feedback, a lot of times what will happen is we deliver it to a customer and the customer will say, oh yeah, okay, and I need to do this, this, and this. And if you look at what they're talking about, they might be completely different problems they're adjacent, meaning they're close to what you're solving, but there's something that's not going to solve the majority of the customer's problems. It's not the problem you set out to solve. They might ask for an integration. I needed to integrate with this other software package that we're doing. Or you might be doing like a trading application. They're like, oh, if we could do some back office functionality as well, that'd be great. So when we talk to customers, it's important to filter what they're saying into, is it part of the problem that we're solving? If it's not, you can talk to customers and say, this is something we're looking to get into, but we're not going to solve that adjacent problem until way later. Number two is stay on the customer feedback. When we talk about feedback, it's easy for us to, again, narrow in on one customer, get one set of experiences and one set of use cases for one user. And really, we want to get as much information, talk to as many customers as we possibly can, so we can really paint a picture of what the general problem is. What is the most general problem we're solving? What's the next big thing that this target market needs to solve in order to be able to use the product effectively to get that value out, right? So don't just get one customer telling you, this is what I need. That's not going to work. Next point I want to make is when we're talking to customers, we have a set of focused customers. We want to get a general view of the problem, but we also want a target market. We want to narrow that target market as much as possible, right? We're looking at a specific segment of the market first. And a lot of times what happens is we get in these product design meetings and people will be like, what about this case? What is this type of user, or this company, or this? If you don't have a target market, if you aren't like laser focused on a target market, people will be like, oh yeah, we need to build for that, and we need to build for that, and we need to take this case into consideration. And quickly, the engineering time goes up dramatically, right? If you're building for every type of user, every type of market, your engineering time goes through the roof. And so what we want to do is actually, at the beginning of the product, when we're designing that product, we're going to say, okay, what is the narrowest market that's going to work? What is the smallest segment that we can approach that's going to get us traction? And then when you're going into product design meetings, it's really easy to say, oh, it's not for our target market now. We can make a note to come back to this, but for now, this is the way this needs to work. And the great thing about that is you'll find the engineering time goes way down. We're shipping valuable features to the right target market immediately without having to think of every case. We'll have time in the future. If we start getting traction, we'll have time to go to these other markets in the future and solve those problems, but let's save those for another day. Another thing to think about when we're building products, I mentioned before, integrations. Integrations are a long tail problem. A lot of times you'll have customers that will say, oh, we needed to integrate with this. For us to even buy this, you have to integrate with this software. This happens a lot of times in things like construction, happens a lot in finance. There's some software package that really dominates the marketplace, and now you need to integrate with that Now, if you have one package you need to integrate with, that's perfectly fine. When you start hearing customers, every customer says, I use this CRM tool. You just don't have time in the early days to integrate with 10 different CRM tools. And if you integrate with one, you might find that the next 10 customers, none of them use that same tool, right? So it's really important early days to make real smart decisions about integrations. If I build this integration, am I gonna get 5 new customers? Okay, let's build it. If I build this integration, do we know if people are gonna use it? We might have one paying customer who would use it, but I don't know if we have any other additional ones. Let's not build that right now. So when we talk about integrations, this is actually part of a larger problem, which is 20% of the features are gonna get 80% of the use. This is the Pareto law or power distribution. Conversely, 80% of the features only get 20% of the use, or maybe provide 20% of the value. We wanna filter out our product roadmap based on what we absolutely know is gonna be used. Right? Don't build things that are speculative. Don't build things that we think might provide value. You do want to test these things, but don't build out big chunks. You want to validate those hypotheses by maybe teasing it. Maybe put a feature page that comes up and says, this is coming in the future. Are you interested in this feature? Put that right in the product. And if you get half of the people saying, yes, we want this piece, oh, hey, let's build it. If nobody clicks that button, let's hold off on that. So another thing that comes up is when you're talking to customers, they're going to end up talking about your competitors' products. Unless you're building into a brand new market with no competition, there's a really good chance that your customers are going to talk about trying competitors' products. And that's good. You don't want them to pretend your competitor's product doesn't exist. You want to hear as much information about what types of solutions that they're finding value in, because that's going to help you figure out, okay, what are we not doing well enough in our product? But one trap you can get into is just blindly taking feedback. A lot of times you'll have a customer doing a bake-off. It's like your product versus your primary competitor's product. And during that bake-off, what tends to happen is the competitor's like, or the customer's like, your competitor product does this better, right? And as a product team, you're instantly like, we need to close the gap and make sure we provide what we call feature parity, which is we got all the same features that they have, so it's hard to choose between. But what happens is you might end up just building the competitor's product. And sure, you have a copycat product in the marketplace, but that's not what you want. You want a unique solution that's gonna give you an edge in those sales conversations. What are the things that you do well, and are you doing them well enough that you're gonna win those sales conversations, those bake-offs? Because if you're not, it's not gonna actually help usually to have feature parity, because then, if you didn't have the edge before, if you get feature parity, it's gonna be a 50-50 at best, right? And they probably have the edge in some areas. So when we look at those conversations we're having with customers, we're talking about competitors' products, yes, pay attention to the things that you're sorely lacking, but don't just blindly build exactly what they're telling you to build. Because again, if that's one customer conversation, if you have 5 and they're like, this is the key thing you're missing, yeah, okay, build that. But we don't want to just build exactly what our competitor's doing. We want to solve the problem uniquely. And for us to be a product team, the solution that we own is gonna set us apart, right? We gotta love the problem, but we have to be great at building the solution, and copying features blindly from a competitor is not gonna be the right thing to do there. We hope you enjoyed the video today. For more tips and best practices in software development, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and like this video.